Hello guys, welcome back to Blizzard 94. I'm back home in the good old uh well, I was about to say the good old USA. That makes no sense. I came back from DC. I'm here back in Florida, back in my home, and I wanted to just simply make a quick recap of my performance at the 54th annual World Open. This is my first World Open, and the first time I've actually played under the Continental Chess Association. I believe that's what they're called. My first 9 round tournament associated with them. Have no idea what I was going to get into. I was never used to some of the things that were displayed in this event, and this event kind of opened my eyes a bit how amazing the chess world is, but also how kind of isolating it is in a way. I did have some highlights, a lot of negatives, and I would kind of just show you what I learned for the experience, showing you around like I think maybe I want to say I want to show 3 games, and then I'll just show you guys a picture just to close out the recap. I don't want to get too much into this, as I still have a long way to go, so let's just get right into it. Basically, I went to DC, and the first thing I want to note to you guys is that the people in DC were extremely nice. Now, here in Florida, at least for most of you who are not from Florida, every time that you're walking at night, be prepared because you're probably gonna be paranoid looking around you, thinking that you might get jumped or mugged. And honestly, that's how I feel in Florida. I feel like I'm very, always skeptical of people around me. I feel like people are very judgmental, critical, care a lot about how much money you have in your pocket or about how you look. And to me, I kind of hate that. I like people who aren't judgmental, that are kind of open-minded, and they're really self-loving. So when I went to DC, regardless of how you look, regardless of how much money you have, people would just generally talk to you and they would give you advice. If you need to know where you need to go, some random guy would just pop up. He would just tell you where to go. If you need to just talk to someone was just right there. There were so many people, and it kind of felt very, very friendly, more friendly than I ever felt for me in Florida. So I honestly felt like I won't say quite at home, but I felt kind of like this was kind of like a second home. So that's how I felt. Like I was just walking at night randomly, and I felt quite at home. I felt really loved. No negative expectations so far. And as you can probably guess, the World Cup is going on, and maybe people watching the games. I didn't quite care much. I got to my hotel room. First hotel I, been by myself in like an actual tournament. And when I went the following day, just to make sure the pairings were right and everything, I got to my board. I was playing against Aditeya, who's this 2298 FM, who actually has a rating of over 2400 UCF. So this is actually my biggest win in my career so far. Hopefully, it won't be the last. I do think that this is probably my peak right now. I am peaking at chess. I still have yet to peak. As some of my friends have told me, I had 2 friends who were showing me a lot of support throughout the tournament. I won't say their names, but without them, I probably would have gone a little bit crazy. I think both of them really helped me kind of maintain my sanity a bit as the tournament felt really isolating being in my room all the time. I had to like walk out at night and talk to random strangers. But anyways, on fourth, we reached this position. I have the black pieces on move 40. And one of the things I'm not used to, that this is the first time I ever get to experience, was the second time control. So apparently, after you reach move 40, if you're able to reach move 40, they grant you an additional 30 minutes, which I have never seen in my life. I know that it's a normal custom, like, in like elite events and just, top decent, strong events, especially those that give norms. But I have never been used to it. I'm usually just used to mostly at around like 90 plus 30. I'm not used to like this. Also, one thing is that there was delay. It wasn't increment. It was just 90 seconds, 9 minutes, sorry, with 30-second delay, not increment, which is also very interesting. So it kind of felt like grade nationals, the Scholastic Nationals here in the U.S. Except there was an additional 30 minutes, which I was again never really accustomed to, and it felt really unique. In this position, I had black pieces. I played the move e4, which I thought was instantly equalization. He took with the bishop, and I went queen e5. We get bishop d4, and I went queen h2. King e1, and apparently here I realized that I do not have a way to force a perpetual. I wanted to do initially check, but after king e2, I saw that even if I kept checking, he will simply get out of dodge, and now white is pushing for advantage. I would have to go with the top engine move, which is queen h3, which I would have never done in the game, considering this looks so uncomfortable. Like maybe I can see some counterplay, but I would not want to enter this. So in the game, I thought that the best thing I could do, practically speaking, was just give up a pawn and go into this endgame where, yeah, my opponent gets doubled pawns, but I reach an endgame where, yeah, I'm down a pawn, but I can maybe find a blockade. And out of nowhere, my opponent gambles and gives back a pawn with f4, hoping that I could enter a position where my pieces just simply be miscoordinated and enter like Zeus one. So I took back g takes f4, he went rook h1, king e7. Now he gives up a pawn on purpose to put his bishop on f5. That way now my position is kind of cramped, and his whole intention is to play the move g5, sack another pawn, and go h6 to create his own pass pawn. I went knight takes d5, accepting the gamble. He went g5. I went f6 check. I'm sorry, c3 check, king c1. I took it, h6, knight back, and now d5. And here I almost blundered actually. In this position, the move that I was intentionally going to play, if I remember correctly, was after I pushed the pawn to f3 and he pushed the pawn to h7. If I remember correctly, in this position, actually not in this position. In this position, I would have played the move f2, but this blunders horrifically due to the move rook a7 check, because I would have to go back down, and he simply just promotes, and it's game over. Luckily, I realized this, and instead just took the pawn, and then I went for the move g4. So now here's the situation on the board. We have these connected passers. So it's gonna be, what is this, 1, 2, well, let's do it in Spanish because you know the World Cup is going on. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 against 1, 2. So he has like 2 isolated pawn islands, and I have like these connected pass pawns on the queen side. He tried to stop them, but for some reason he went king b1, which I didn't understand. I guess his concern was that he wanted to blockade somehow. I didn't really know the intention behind king b1, but he played it. I went to move g3. Rook g8 was played, and I found this really nice move g2, because regardless of whatever bishop move he does, whether it be bishop e4, bishop d3, my intention was all the same. I found this really beautiful move, rook to b8, which is a really nice finisher. Point being that he cannot take my rook, because if he does take it, I will queen, and this is just simply game over. So he tried to, not allow my rook sacrifice to work, but now just rook h8, and my idea is very simple. I'm going to check and promote, and I'll win the game. He took the pawn, I checked, chopped, and, at the end of the day, here he actually resigned. So what does this mean? First win, first round, I'm starting off good, I'm doing great, and this is the best win of all time. This is my best win of all time right now at the World Open. What a way to start off. I'm getting a lot of rating, and when I saw his rating was 20/100, I was ecstatic, because I genuinely feel like I could compete with these players. I just need to be really well prepared. I need to have good openings. I need to have a really nice improved opening repertoire, and I know that I'm capable enough of not, maybe not just drawing, but also trying to win some games. So I feel like this is definitely a good example of it, and this is definitely my peak right now. The following morning, I actually managed to win another game against a good friend of mine, Stephen Willie, but I'm not going to show that game, as I want to make this video super short as possible. So we're going to keep it going. Oh, this is the Stephen Willie game. Sorry, Willie, you're not in this video. Okay, and I wanted to showcase this video right here, because this was a very strange indication of this game. I was playing a really nice, I believe his rating was 2260 FIDE. He's a FIDE master, FM Jiang, and in this position, after the move queen a5, I decided to go take the rook, swap off the rooks, and go queen c2. And I was pressing really hard this game because I didn't know what to do. I thought that my position was generally okay, that I should never really be that worse, and I thought that generally there should be a way of progress with the attack. And here I kind of, after when king h1, he revealed to me after the move queen b4 that he would have actually accepted a repetition here with queen a3, bishop c1, which I genuinely wasn't sure if he was actually going to accept it or not. I instead just decided to gamble, and I went for the move g5. Point being, after h6, I don't take back. I instead go for the move f5, gambling. He found knight 7 with just a minute on the clock. I'm impressed. I think he really just defended everything up to his gills. Really just incredible, resourceful player. I took the pawn, he took back, and went knight e4. We get knight f5. Point being that I cannot take on g5, because after knight takes, when after knight takes, he would just have knight g3 first, check, and then that's it. He just wins the exchange, and it's game over. I could resign. So in that case, I played the only decent move I found, which is bishop d2. Apparently here the engine would like this move queen g2, but I never really liked moving my queen to the king side, as if I was abandoning my queen side and that this bishop was very easily open to an attack. But luckily the engine just differs and said that I shouldn't be scared of anything. I'm not a machine, of course, so I played bishop d2 and went rook b1. He went rook e8, and I went for this nice continuation of rook b3, because I was calculating that after queen a4 we would enter this endgame where I would trade and regain back my pawn. Now the only move that I didn't see was that this is actually a blunder, because after knight takes g5, I played bishop takes f5, and he missed the winning move. Here, after bishop takes f5, he's winning only if he finds this really nice concrete move, queen to e2. And on first glance, this move makes no sense. Why queen e2? Why is this winning? And I feel like there's a lot of reasons why this move looks counterintuitive. But the main idea is that, let's say I move my bishop back to e3, then black has queen e3 check, king g1, and his bishop luckily is in the right tempo. Just go bishop e5. If I go king h2, then queen takes h3 is just checkmate. And I would have to block, but regardless of how I block, this is simply also going to be game over regardless of what I do. So, and I think the previous continuation, if I remember correctly, I don't know. Let's just say this. Let's say I do bishop take bishop b6 or bishop takes g6. There's this also really nice ladder checkmate, I guess you could say, with the bishops. We're just slicing off the board with the queen, and this is just really, really beautiful. It's like a GM level intermediate move. But no, he simply took back under time pressure. I went bishop takes g5, queen g6, h4, and I evaluated this endgame to be around equal. I didn't really see any way for him to push. That is until I hallucinated here at the queen f7 and played the move queen b8. In my head, after the move queen b8, I don't know why, I thought that after queen h5, I thought that this would be a draw. I thought that this is just a draw. Like, he has no way to get up. I thought that this would just be a draw because he doesn't have king g6. Which, technically, it would be right if he does waste the move, but it's not the case here. Queen b8 is a disastrous move because after my next move, after this move, after my initial move that I wanted to play, he does have king g6. This move is legal. This move is a possibility. It's an actual physical move that he could play. And in my mind, I do not know why I thought that king g6 was not possible. Maybe I thought the queen was gonna not allow the king to get there, but it is a possible legal move. And so I go in my head just in disgust that I can't believe I'm actually gonna lose this game, and other just repulsive, denial. I played the move queen b3, pretty much accepting that I'm going to lose this game. He went for the move queen e2 check. I had king g1 only move, but even then this is the main net, bishop d4 check. Queen f1 check, king h2, and now after the move bishop g1, I resign in spite of the fact that after I go king h1, this is simply a really simple baiting pattern. He's going to go check here, queen g1 check, king h3, and queen h1, and this will be mate. No words, no words. I really feel like, again, I don't know what's wrong with me. I think that, as you can tell, I'm like sniffling. I feel like at that point, I don't know. I was practically pressing the whole game, and I felt like I was winning, but something just went off in me, and I kept hallucinating moves. For some reason, I thought that king g6 was never really an option, and this was total heartbreak. I feel like I shouldn't have lost this game, especially from the initial position that I got out of the opening, right around, I want to say here. I feel like this position was really good for a win. And I thought that really I could not have asked for a better position. Right around, I want to say, this is fine. Let me see right here. I don't know. I want to say like right here. I feel like this was a really good practical position out of the opening. I felt like I just shouldn't lose this. Like, this position shouldn't be losable. But my opponent, again, he just played really, really well. I hallucinated. I just genuinely, I don't know why I saw. So congratulations to him. I think he played really, really well. It's unfortunate. Then this following game, this is probably the last game I'm going to show really quickly, just to not waste a lot of time. I had, oh, sorry, my bad. Let me just go a little bit back here. I'm going to say right d4. Okay, in this position, I had the black pieces. My opponent had played the move d4, and I went for the move bishop to e6. And I actually offered my opponent previously a draw on move 14, but he declined it. He was 2200, so he was a candidate master, and he decided to go for the move d5. I chopped. He would chop with the bishop, which I think is anti-conceptual. Now, I do know that the move here is knight takes d5, which is the best move because apparently this bishop is way better. I saw bishop d7, knight e4, rook h6, and I thought this was like really good. Very comfortable position for black. But I'm not good with bishops. I don't know how to use a bishop, so instead I went for the move bishop takes d5 because I thought that knight takes would be a little bit more harder in a classical game. Now, maybe in a blitz game, it wouldn't be as convoluted, and maybe I would have felt more comfortable. But for the sake of it being a classical game, I decided to play more practical with the knight. Because I think the knight is way more easier to understand long term. And for that reason, I followed it up, rook c8. And my whole premise was that this pawn can never really go e4. If he does do e4, then I follow up with f5, and this pawn's just going to be weak. I'm going to get the open file, and I should really have no issues. So rook f5, rook a3, and now I went for this really nice idea of b6. My point is that after he goes rook b3, I have the move knight c8, king f2, f5, and here I'm just pushing for advantage. I went rook f7, preparing to double the rooks on the c file. We get rook d2, rook f7, king e1, rook c5. I bring in my king, h5, and here I was debating. I knew that the best move here was initially rook takes a4, point being that if he were to take back, I would do check, king d2, and then take with the b pawn, but for some reason I did not like this. I thought they were just going to go knight b5, and I saw a counter like rook b3, but apparently, this was the best way. I thought that the initial way that I went for in the game was the most safest, which was the move e4. Because now I'm forcing him to take. If he does not take, then it goes like rook d2, then I will do rook takes a4, because now I feel like it's completely different. Because rook's misplaced, and he has to waste more moves just to get to the b3, area. So, he did not do that. He took. I took back, and after rook d2, I went for the move king e7. Whole idea is that I'm preparing rook b4 and do not want his knight to go on b5 with tempo, targeting d6, because I want to free move my knight to the b6 square. He went rook f2, I went g6, and after the move b3, without much hesitation, I simply just took the knight. After king d2, I was okay with giving up my rook and went for the move rook takes b3. This is not the best move, however. The best move was actually rook takes c2, because this would have been a lot more easier after knight b6, rook e7, because I would just follow up with king f6, king e5, won the pawn on d5, and there's simply no defense. I'm simply going to have too many passed pawns. I instead went for the move rook takes b3, which I thought was also cleanly winning. C takes, knight b6, h3, knight takes d5, g4, and the move f4. Really, really clutch move, as he cannot take to the point of it being e3 check, and I win the rook, so this practically resigns. So my opponent instead actually went for the move rook c1. I took, chop chop, king e6, kept going up the board, and regardless of what he did, I found this really nice cold-blooded move g5. Whole idea being king knight f4 check. Let's say he tries to wait it out, just knight f4. He cannot even sack the rook back and try and go with his pawn, because I simply am in time to reach it and stop it. I'm in the square, in the rule of the square. So luckily that basically was in my favor regardless. So I went for the move knight f4 check. This did not happen, of course. Sorry. He went rook f5. I went knight f4 check. After the move king f1, I went up, and here my opponent resigned the game. That was it. Again, this is, I want to say, one of my strongest wins. This is a very clean win. I had really no inaccuracies, and if I look at this game right now from an overall standpoint, let me see, let's put it to the review. I think I had like a really nice 95% accuracy, if I'm to remember this correctly. Yep, I have 95.6 accuracy right here, which you guys can check. Let me see if it does show it. Let me see. No, I don't have it. It doesn't show you guys the evaluation. But just rest assured that my opponent played around 88.1 accuracy. I played 95.6. So this was genuinely my, I want to say, a very clean win against a high-rated 2200. And again, I am showing that I can play against these 2200s. And I'm not saying 2200 UCF, I'm playing 2200 FIDE. So I'm pretty sure that I could get the 2200 FIDE if I'm able to compete in more events, if I'm able to get more experience. I feel like I'm heavily capable of reaching that level within a year. So I feel like it is doable. Whether an IM norm is doable is contestable, very debatable. I think I need a lot of experience. I'm not there yet. This event was a huge realization. I was sick from the second day. I want to say more precisely the more third day forward. But again, I'm not gonna make an excuse. Like, this is really a lot to me. It means a lot to me. I went all my way just to go to DC, and in the end, in the process, I did end up having some side benefits. I did end up using like 10 points of UCF, which is whatever. It doesn't really mean anything. Not the end of the world. Lost like 18 points of Blitz. Not the end of the world. One of the things I really got to do, which was really fun, was meet Christoper, who was also there at the event. He simply wanted to just play more events, be more active. So here's a picture at the Blitz tournament held at the 37th annual World Open Blitz. Let me just open my Diet Coke. Ah, that's great. that Coke. Cheers. Okay, so anyways, back to the picture. On the left, you see myself, then Christopher Yu, Grandmaster Christopher Yu right there. Um, the third guy, I actually don't know who the guy is. Neither does Christopher Yu or his friend Muhammad, who's on the right. We both don't really know who the guy next to Christopher Yu is. He was just a random guy who had his flight, and wanted to play a couple blitz games with us. So I didn't really play any games. I simply was just chatting with you throughout the blitz. Afterwards, and it was really really fun meeting Christopher Yu. I feel like he is I know people are gonna hate me for wanting to just chill with him. I think that he is greatly misunderstood. I do believe that what he did was wrong. I'm not gonna say that it wasn't wrong. I'm not gonna say that that people don't have any right for hating what he did and for hating against them. But I feel like there comes a point where we should learn to forgive others and not be super harsh on people. Like what he did was messed up, and I do not want to understate that yeah, what he did was messed up. But I think that Christopher Yu, like you know, I'm not gonna go into details, but he basically, I feel like he shouldn't get the hate that he deserves because I feel like he is a good person at heart, and I genuinely do not like to judge people because I do think that people are generally capable of change. I think people, even good people, they do tend to make bad choices, but if they're willing to show that they could change and be better people, then I don't get it. Why is it so hard for others to forgive them? I think people are too judgmental and critical of others and always want to put blames on other people instead of acknowledging their own problems. Like everyone has problems, everyone has had mistakes, and people rather laugh at others than admit their own flaws. So I think that generally speaking, when it comes to use case, I do feel bad for the victim. I feel bad for her as well, and I feel bad for the club of St. Louis. But it goes without saying that I feel like in a way I can kind of understand you in a sense because I do feel like he is a very, at least to me, it came off as to me like he was very socially anxious, and I don't know. I feel like again, maybe it's not an excuse, but I feel like to me, I feel like I kind of related to you in a bit. I feel like we were both kind of awkward, and I kind of got along with him very well, talking to him about a bunch of topics. And I think that he's just, again, I think he's a good person at heart. I wouldn't mind rooting for him or hanging out with him. I think that he's really relatable in all ways, at least to me. And I ended up hanging out with his friend. We went to 7-Eleven, and at the end of the day, I think that Christopher Yu and his friend, they definitely made my day. I think they made my last night bearable. The last 5 days at the tournament, I genuinely was losing my mind. I felt very isolated in my room, and had it not been for my two friends from Florida, I probably would have gone a little bit more kind of depressed. I felt kind of like I was gonna cry during the blitz actually, because I remember it was before the first game, and I was actually holding tears in my eyes because I was just looking at people around me. I just felt like so alone. Like I'm in a room, but I feel so alone because it's just so sad being there. Like I mean, you're one of the greatest tournaments in the world, yet you don't really feel like you belong there. You feel more like you just exist, but you're not actually there, and it's a very saddening feeling to feel. Like you want to prove people wrong. You want to people to like validate that you deserve to be there, that you work really hard for your recognition. And I have like a lot of insecurities over myself, over my weight, over my goals. I feel like people generally, I don't know, like I feel like I just don't exist at some points. So I don't know. Again, I don't know. I guess like talking with you, it kind of made me feel. I don't know if I should say wanted, but I feel like I could relate to this individual a lot more. I felt like I could actually belong in a sense with them. And also with like the two friends from Florida, like they really comforted me along the way, telling me that I mattered and stuff. So really huge shout out to them. I'm not gonna say their names, but I really want to thank them as well. Um, Actually, you know what? Screw it. I'll say one name. I'll say like BJ. So that's his nickname. I call him that. Really cool FM from Florida. So me and him have known each other from the club back years ago, and again, very very fortunate just to have him just come for me and be walking around with me. He genuinely made my day a lot more less saddening. I remember the last day we kind of played bullet games for fun before I had to head up for my flight, which by the way, I actually almost missed my flight. So very lucky to have gotten it. But yeah, in terms of the future, I will be going to a couple more tournaments within the next couple weeks. Stay tuned for that. I might do recaps, might not. Maybe I do more videos. I'm very, very unsure. I need to work a lot on myself right now, and I need to make sure that I'm gonna be doing all right. I am focusing on losing a lot more weight. I've noticed that my stamina is just simply not it. I need to improve my endurance. I don't know, I need to do more cardio, I need to do more activity, just simply lose a lot more pounds. Right now I'm weighing at 192, but I just do not feel it for myself right now. I'm kind of just like losing it. So yeah, I need to build my endurance. I need to go out more and just simply try to do more stuff. Had to like travel more this year, so I will be with a lot of priorities along the way. But again, I simply thank you guys for being there. I saw some of you guys reach out to me on my Instagram during some of my rounds because I was doing recaps on my story. I really appreciate you guys. Again, I appreciate some people like Gene, who I don't know if he's gonna watch this video, but if you do, thank you again. I appreciate another guy. I don't know if I'm gonna say his name because of privacy, but I appreciate him as well. Me and him actually were talking about Panda during the last day, which is stupid. I don't know. He went to the zoo and then came back, and I was surprised to see him, but he was very, very chill with me. So he reached out to me and told me that it was just very brutal. So you know, again, I feel like we're all in the same kind of coordinates. I feel like every chess player can relate to having a bad tournament. Even though I did gain rating, again, I gained like 29 points, but it just felt disappointing. I felt like I could definitely have reached 5 points, but it is what it is. At the end of the day, can't really be too disdained. At the end of the day, even though we have bad days, I feel like every experience at the end of the day is a very honestly learning experience. Even if you learn almost nothing, I feel like there's a huge takeaway. Again, first tournament with the Continental Chess Association. First time I ever witnessed the second time control in action. First time I beat a very super high rated player, which in this case was Aditeya, who, by the way, after losing to me, actually proceeded to go on a very incredible streak, finishing 6.5 out of 9. He managed to draw Grandmaster Jian Zhao. Jian Zhao, and then he lost to Christoper in the last round. And by the way, shout out to Chris. No, not you. Sorry, no, actually, no, shout out to Christoper Yu, but also shout out to Grandmaster Jian Zhao. That guy is a beast. Still going at it. He went from the international Philadelphia tournament and proceeded to just go all the way to World Open. I don't know how that guy does it. He's just really just an admiration. I really have a lot of respect for him. But yeah, I think Aditya probably got an IM norm. If not, I'm gonna be surprised. I guess that just shows how brutal it is. One loss against me, who my FIDE right now is 2021, and he's like 2297. He went on a streak. If he didn't get the norm, that just shows how tough it is. You cannot lose to even 2000, not even one game. Losing to 2000, one GM literally cost you an IM. That's insane. Yeah, you know, again, World Open first event. I'm not sure if I'll come back for the 55th edition. Maybe I do. Very unlikely. I'm probably gonna swap it off for Vegas next year. Whatever case, I'll let you guys know when the time comes. Hopefully my rating has changed. Hopefully it's not 2000. So yeah, first 9 round events, and I want to say like 8 months. Let's keep it going. Let's keep improving. The future maybe doesn't look so bright, but I always try to think that there's always going to be an open door ahead of me, even if it may look like it's lurking in dark waters. I just hope that some loved ones they appear to me and they tell me that everything will be okay. That is my intention. So, I love you guys. Thank you guys for your support, and you know, yeah. See you in the next one. Ciao. Oh, and by the way, let me know what team are you rooting for in the World Cup in the comments below. My dad loves Colombia, but I really don't care if you guys know someone in the Colombia shirt. So, yeah. Go Messi and go Cristiano. Well, Portugal's eliminated, but always love CR7. So yeah, go Messi.